They're going to keep that with the same. A Kali ban on blue side implies that Sencux doesn't play it, and they still don't want to put it in the hands of Caps. Now the question is, what is this final ban from Misfits? Oh,
Skarner.
They're actually just going to continue with it.
I mean, so first pick wise, they can go for Alistar if they want, which is a huge pick for Mikyx. He was fantastic on it in the last game.
And you can go for that Kalista Alistar bot lane again, which in the 2v2 has worked out perfectly fine for them, but in game 1 they didn't get the leads, in game 2 they got a monumental lead. Could they look to try and repeat that in game 3?
I think if you're Fnatic though, are you that scared of the Kalista Alistar bot lane? Because the lead came
Apparently,
from
yes.
ganking the bot lane. Obviously you are, you're going to get rid of the Kalista here.
This leaves Olaf open. That's what Fnatic banned in the first 2 games, respecting what Maxlore could potentially do on this champion. They just took his Tristana.
Wow, they actually picked it away. So, if I recall, last year, Tristana was something that Hansama actually played a fair amount of.
Yeah,
it was one of his comfort champions. So I don't think he's unfamiliar to it, and it will force Rekkles onto something else. Maybe this is where we see the Sivir come out from Rekkles, or maybe he goes for something a little bit more aggressive.
Well, you got it.
I've got to be honest, it's not a hard prediction.
No, it's true.
But they're going to pair that up with the Braum as well. Very defensive, safe bot lane for the side of Fnatic.
And there's the Olaf then for Misfits, and the Alistar should come in as well. No need to first pick the Alistar because Kalista was now banned away, but Misfits, they get a very aggressive early setup with Alistar Olaf.
We would expect the Trundle now to come out from Fnatic. It was something that Xerxes brought out a while back as an answer to the Olaf, I believe earlier this year, and it's something that Broxah is more than happy to pick up for himself, and if he doesn't pick it up now, it just gives Misfits the option to ban it away.
And remember now also with this Sivir pick, it's so focused still on scaling.
Yes.
Like, it's actually insane that in a summer split where the bot lane meta changed so often and had so many weird things with mages and bruisers and now back to 80 carries, that Rekkles has still managed to maintain the same champ pool of Tristana, Sivir, and Ezreal earlier.
We saw him split pushing on the Tristana as well.
It's actually crazy. I need to see if this will hurt Fnatic a lot, because again, this Sivir pick, you don't pick it to try and fight a lot in the early game. And Alistar is super good against Sivir because she can't spell shield the combo. It will block the W and then you get hit by the Q.
That's true, Deficio. That is very true. However, the advantage that Fnatic now have is that Caps can get the counter pick. And in game 1, he had the Casio, but he didn't have a favorable matchup into the Orianna, even though he played it very well. He then had to blind pick a Corki in game 2, but now, with them putting a lot of focus bans onto some of his safe, just utility mid lane champions, they can force him onto something that he might have to be a little proactive on, and then Caps can look to build advantages in lane.
And I want to highlight, something like a Yasuo with a Trundle is a thing.
Yes.
But then you ideally want some magic damage from the top laner.
Yeah,
it's not a thing this game.
All right, they do ban away. LeBlanc is also available, of course. The Wukong is still here as a pick. He can go for, as his last pick here, Sencux having to blind pick. He did it with the Lulu in the last game. That's why it's banned away.
Still got the Orianna as an option, Twisted Fate there as well, even an Aurelion Soul or something like that if we want to see him roam it down towards the bottom lane. Fnatic are going to pick their top laner here to keep that counter pick for Caps. They get the Cho'Gath, and now Misfits need to answer that top lane.
Now, Fnatic should have a pushing 2 versus 2 in bot with the Sivir. So do we think the Misfits could actually look to pick a carry up towards the top side? Something that they tried a couple times in the second half.
I don't think they have to. I think if you push as a Sivir, Alistar combos you.
Of course.
And then
Olaf ganks you.
And then Olaf ganks you, you just fight. Like, it's really difficult for Rekkles to do that as long as Misfits have any sort of pressure. Now they have even more with the Galio pick coming in that can actually fly down to that bottom side as well. Like, I have a feeling that Rekkles will be completely shut down in this game, and this Sivir pick will hurt him. He early picked it, Alistar was available, and now you have the perfect setup to just run him down.
We have seen Fnatic hold out games though when Rekkles has got
and
the
that's
Sivir.
The win condition
just
again.
Scale up towards that 4-5 item, the 500 CS Sivir. There's the Sion and the Galio. Misfits once again, most of their damage is going to come from Hansama on that Tristana.
I feel like there's a high probability of seeing the... we could see the Corki again.
Yeah, good Corki again.
Whoa! That's a Vayne mid lane!
Into a Galio?
I know I made the statement before that Caps can play everything. I did not expect a mid lane Vayne to be a thing.
That's crazy.
Okay.
So I can understand how in the 1v1, sure, it makes sense. At early levels, you're hard going to lose the push, but the moment you get played the Ruin King, it's going to be very difficult for that Galio to even approach the Vayne.
That's a Vayne mid lane.
Yeah, but
It's still scaling. And that's the thing for
Yes.
Fnatic. If you try to force too many plays early and it backfires like the last game, you probably lose this game before Vayne can even do anything.
Like, this Olaf can just run over so many members of Fnatic as well once he gets that ulti. And you pair that up with the Galio that can dive onto the backline. You've got the Sion ulti engaged too. And there's more than enough damage with the Tristana on the backline.
Let's see here, with Soaz in the lineup, can Fnatic go towards the late game?
Yeah, but even then, I don't think that it's about, like, sure, we want Fnatic to obviously slow down when you've drafted a Vayne, but can they even stop Misfits from just snowballing this game?
Exactly.
Because they have the Galio, they have that roaming
Just
mid.
don't make it easy for them like you did in the last
Yeah.
game.
But it's Olaf, plus you also have a Galio. I feel like bot lane, they can easily set up dives if they want to.
I will highlight around the mid lane, once you hit level 6 on this Vayne, you have some options.
Well, we've got Draco standing by with Hussein Moosvi. Let's check in to see what he has to say.
Thank you, Medic. I am here with the Moose. Now I was going to ask you about momentum. I was going to ask you so many things about your team, but now I just need to talk to you about the Vayne mid. Is this something that you guys were prepared for?
So Caps has actually played this in Scrim since, like, I think last year's Summer Split events. I was waiting for the day it comes out. So, I mean, they can try playing it against us now, but I'm still confident in our draft.
Absolutely love the confidence. Back to you guys at the desk.
First time we have ever seen a Vayne mid in the EU LCS, and Caps, the all-pro mid laner, is the one to bring it out.
Yep, and he's crazy. But let's see if it works. The thing I also want to highlight, other than just the level 6 parties, Trundle Pillar works extremely well with Vayne in terms of actually setting up some CC. You can knock someone into the pillar with Vayne, and that's how in a 2v2 around mid, you can kill Sencux. The problem is Maxlore can ult out of it.
And we've had a lot of action round at the bottom lane, and if you want to catch a viewpoint from Hylissang here, our point of view stream is available, twitch.tv/RiotGames2. Maybe he'll go mid, maybe he'll be support Vayne mid lane. Never know what's going to happen.
Now, if you have only just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, we are currently in Game 3 1-1. We've had a pretty back and forth series. A lot of action has happened around the early game. Now, with Misfits draft, with the Olaf, we don't necessarily expect action levels 1, 2, 3, maybe around the 6 mark, once Olaf has done a couple clears around his jungle. You disagree?
I think level 3, you start ganking already. Like, you get your boots with Predator and you go ham. You don't need to wait for level 6
I think it's
at
going to
all.
be really hard, though. Like, there's the cleanse in the mid lane. Sivir with the spell shield is not the easiest
You have
to gank later
Alistar.
levels.
The spell shield is literally
Yeah,
useless.
but Rekkles, I would assume, is smart enough to not just walk into melee range of an Alistar.
No, he doesn't need melee range. When you combos Alistar with WQ, the W procs the spell shield.
I understand.
And then you just knock him up and Olaf ganks him.
Well, you both disagree. We'll find out who the superior analyst is with that first gank. If it's at level 3, everyone tweet at Vedius, say you are the inferior analyst. If it's at level
Only
6,
level 3, that's the only
everyone
one.
tweet at Deficio and say, Deficio, you were usurped by Vedius on this deck.
Because I just want to see Maxlore get his Predator with the boots when he actually goes back, and then he can go for such an easy gank setup, especially around bottom side if Rekkles is pushing. Let's actually see how Fnatic plays this early game, though. This Vayne mid should not struggle whatsoever against Sencux. Like, he can just start trading with him all the time, and you can Q out of the Galio damage. Oh, you can also step into it, but when he fires it at you, you can Q out
You
of
can
it.
tumble out of the taunt as well. You can get away from the Justice Punch.
Nice play from Broxah here.
Remember, at the early levels, Trundle's Q was nerfed, so his skirmishing was hindered a little bit, but even so, against an Olaf, you're often considered stronger. He doesn't want to take the gamble this early on into the game. He utilized the pressure that he had in mid pretty effectively, but he's just going to back away and stick to his standard clear.
And we get the full clear from Maxlore into back for Predator boots, and then we get to see, does he want to gank, does he want to find the enemy jungler, what does he want to do? So far he is close to full health, and he can keep doing exactly what he's doing now, and it's on Broxah to try and actually see if he can read where Maxlore is going.
Once again, Misfits have put a lot of their eggs in that bot lane basket. It worked out so well for them in the last game. Kalista for Hans Sama and Mikyx doing an incredible job. 11, 1, and 15 combined. So many kills and assists in the early game as well. We aren't expecting to see this level from them once again, but
Hopefully
Misfits
not
will
for
want to
Fnatic.
get their bot lane ahead.
Now you ruined everything before Medic, because you said level 3 instead of
You
Predator
said level
boots.
3.
I'm pretty sure you said
Okay,
level
well,
3.
I accept Predator after. So now we have it. Let's see.
Okay, we'll go with
Let's see.
Predator for you. If he ganks
Versus
now,
level 6.
that's the Predator gank.
Yes, let's see what he decides to do. He's currently pinging towards the top side where Alphari does have
He's
push.
ganking the Rift Scuttler. There we go.
You still got a little bit of time, Deficio. Don't stress too much.
Problem is, I need Rekkles to start pushing that bottom lane.
That's not what he's doing.
He's
playing
sitting
inside.
back and he's accepting that he can't because...
Oh! 20 to 8.
Almost got it. But this is what we mentioned in Champ Select, how it can actually be really difficult to start pushing if you feel like you're gonna die.
Right. Yes.
It's like, okay, then I just don't push. And Rekkles' job, unlike the last game, is not to try and fight early game. He's so scared.
Well, he's just trying to play a little bit safer. It was their weakness in game 2. They brought in Soaz, maybe a little bit of a calmer voice on the team.
Also remember, in draft, they could have locked the Alistar in for themselves, but they actually went for Sivir intentionally, knowing that Mikyx has played Alistar every game so far in this series. So they voluntarily picked themselves into this losing matchup. Fortunately for them, Caps is doing very well in the mid.
Maxlore's tried to gank mid now for a while, but it's double warded, so he said, okay, fine, I'll wait for the Raptor camp, because Caps also just walked away from the lane. So he really wants to actually be proactive, but he's just not allowed yet by Fnatic.
Soaz trading onto Alphari in the top side. Caps with the condemn into the wall. There's the Justice Punch though. Caps not in a good spot. Flashes, cleanses,
you're dead.
But you cannot get away from Sencux today. There's first blood to Misfits, and now Broxah is in very bad shape. Has to flash away. The Winds of War will chip away at his HP.
You're Vayne.
Yes.
I don't think you want to flash forward and try and kill the enemy before you even have items or a level 6.
There's your early gank though, Deficio.
I guess it counts, but Max was like, great, this is what I needed.
You know, it was funny because just in between games we were talking about how Misfits put all the eggs in the Han Summer basket, and we joked about how it was kind of like Fnatic putting the eggs in the Han Summer basket. And here we see Caps, again, trying to go for this play where they think they can win this 2 versus 2, and you can see the condemned setup, but you're just asking Sencux to drop everything on top of you, and the moment you burn your flash cleanse on Maxlore, it's very easy for Sencux to get that follow-up and secure a kill.
Yeah, and obviously gotta correct myself, he didn't flash in to condemn him, there was just a tumble forward, but he had to flash out right after, and yeah, Caps, I love that he wants to show something with this Vayne. I love that he's trying to actually carry on it, but that was too aggressive and he got punished instantly.
And now he has no summoners mid. This is perfect for Maxlore to make a repeat gank. His Predator is up and available, and Caps has just been slowly pushing this wave. He has no vision around the bot side. So now would be a prime time for Maxlore to repeat gank once he's got some mana and spent some of his gold.
So let's see if he wants to do it or not. Once again on the bottom side, which could have been an opening, Rekkles has not pushed the lane. He's tried to play it super passive to avoid getting engaged on, and that's why I guess Maxlore looked towards the mid lane, and by Caps going aggressive, he got what he needed. Oh, starting Ocean Drake here.
And someone knows they're there. Sencux has the level 6 as well.
Rekkles is running back from base still. Hansama's already shopped. This is a really weird start.
There are also no teleports for both top laners. Sencux does have his ulti available, but after recognizing that Fnatic couldn't go for this, Misfits just going to disengage, and now Maxlore heading up towards the top side.
Sencux on his way up there as well. Has that hero's entrance, the level 6. Maxlore building up towards his ultimate as well. It's a 1,000 gold lead for Misfits, 7 minutes in a very good spot. Across the board, pretty even in terms of CS. Only Maxlore and Sencux have that slight advantage.
Now, they know that the red buff is just spawned. Maxlore has an idea that it is starting, or something that he can go to contest, but Trundle already secured that one, and will only get a bit of deep vision off the back of it. Will they go for a dive now? Level 6 for Maxlore.
No summoners on Caps. Mickey is around as well.
Oh, they have their eyes on Caps. They want to kill
You can tell they want to go for this dive. Mickey has the flash for across the wall. Caps has the final hour. That Vayne ultimate can go invis underneath the tower. It can be very difficult to catch him out properly.
Alphari's moving down as well. Like, everyone is suddenly looking towards Caps. He knows.
He's like, uh-oh.
Smart play from Caps, though. It's back all the way away.
But now he has the problem as Vayne, where, again, you have absolutely no push.
Yeah.
Like, you take so long to kill a minion wave, and Sencux can kill it almost instantly. So you're just going to keep sitting in a situation where if you have a 1v1, you can win it. But the enemy team will not give you a 1v1.
And now Misfits very quick to take advantage of the lack of pressure mid. Sivir underneath her tower means that they can just go and secure their first Ocean Drake of the game. Love the way in which Misfits are utilizing this early pressure so far, and they've got a pretty healthy early game gold lead.
Look at bottom lane here. Rekkles is all alone.
Galio ulti, keep your eyes on it as well.
Ooh, they're actually going towards the blue buff.
Going to fish checking towards Mickey. They know he's there. Hansama jumps forward. Mickey able to get the stun off on Hylissang as well, and it's going to be the second kill of the game for Misfits. They get it in the Fnatic jungle.
And right now, Fnatic are just not aware of where everyone is moving on the side of Misfits. That dual lane had been missing for a while, especially Mickey had been roaming around the mid lane, and Hylissang just walks through his own jungle being like, yeah, sure, they're probably not here.
Yep.
They're all in base shopping at this point, but I mean, where else could they really be? If they're not in your mid lane or in the bottom lane, They're probably in your jungle.
And now it's Misfits having a very clean, very well-played early game, and kind of what we expected. Fnatic aren't trying to force a lot of fights. They're being forced to play on the back foot, given they have no pressure top, they have no pressure mid, they have no pressure bot.
Yep.
And Misfits are just utilizing this pressure to secure an early Drake, get themselves an early blue buff, and like, the thing is, you kind of want to see Olaf keep up this pressure, and I think the next step for Misfits, assuming you agree with me, Deficio, is to play towards this bot lane. Utilize the
Always
Galio
agree
ulti.
with you, mate. I 100% agree with what you said. At this point here, though, if you are Misfits, it feels like they have so many options. Because they have an AD carry who's ahead right now. The Vayne needs a lot of time before she's super scary, and you have this Galio ulti. Like, you can just leave the lane if you're Sencux. You don't have to play 1v1 against Caps. And Fnatic right now, just when we said we want to see them slow down, Caps jumped into that first fight and just died instantly. See what happens bot lane now. They're finding Mikyx.
Yeah, Mikyx is going to face check towards Hylissang, and Rekkles Broxah on his way as well. Mikyx uses the headbutt to try and get towards a minion, knocked back with the pillar, but Fnatic do not know where the Olaf is, so they don't want to go for a full fight. Also, Alphari could have joined with the unstoppable onslaught.
Yeah, always look for the Sion to go towards the bottom lane or the mid lane after a recall. He's heading back top though. Maxlore will show himself, also kind of giving away that Alphari is not up there just yet. Fnatic though trying their hardest to get towards the late game.
Yep. And it's usually 2 items, I would say, for Vayne. Blade of the Ruin King, Rage Blade, some go for. Sometimes, ooh, Maxlore has spotted out Broxah.
Predator used, there's the unstoppable onslaught as well. Alphari going to try and bend around this corner, but Broxah just flashes to safety.
Okay, they force another flash right here. Another option is you go for Blade into Stormbracer. That's also what we've seen quite a bit from Vayne, just because your 2-item spike then is super good. But the Rage Blade, while it is expensive, is of course still a fantastic choice.
Now, observers, if we could quickly just pan over to bot lane and see how the tower is doing for Fnatic, we can see that Misfits have continuously pushed this 2 versus 2 in. They've slowly been chipping away at the tower, and Misfits have often gained a lot of deep vision control around the bot side of the map, but now they're actually trying to get a collapse onto Mikyx. He has no ult.
Caps is on his way down as well. Mikyx looking for the knockup, only lands on towards Rekkles. He is stunned up. Galio turning this one around. The Galio comes in. Mikyx still alive. Rekkles had to jump away. And Misfits did turn it back on towards Fnatic.
Looked like Mikyx was getting caught out here, but because of Galio, he knows he can just jump in. He gets both summoners now from Rekkles, setting up that next gank, Vedius, you were talking about just before. It makes it even easier to go for a play on the bottom side if they want to get another advantage. And again, because Fnatic have this scaling AD carry that can't push due to the threat of him dying, and then Vayne mid lane, the option for them to fight back is just so limited. And some will even stop a recall here just to be annoying.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when we think about Fnatic from the entire regular season, a lot of their wins came from early playmaking, a lot of skirmishing and fighting. And you look at the first 2 games and you think, huh, it's not different.
They're going to fight quite a lot.
But the difference is that their compositions during the regular season were never about scaling. They always had strong early to mid-game spikes, but with the reintroduction of Rekkles, he's still sticking to his style of these scaling AD carries. And we know that if Fnatic gets late-game fights, that's when they're at their scariest. But they're going up against one of the best early-game teams in the league. The 9-0 Misfits, where they found all those wins, was being proactive in the early game, finding early-game leads, and largely having a winning 2v2 bot. Now, this is the first game where we see like much calmer early game, but Misfits still building those leads and looking for more play.
Caps just used Tumble and is going to try and ult away. The final hour does come out, hits the face with the Winds of War as well.
He did no damage.
Yeah, he doesn't really do that much damage when you're only sitting on a recurve.
That's true.
Now he's going to try and defend his turret. Will be able to just take the wave once again, but a little bit of damage gets onto his turret every single time, and he's not able to have any impact whatsoever. This bot lane turret will die very quickly. The Storm Racer Tristana will eventually take it down, and then you have that problem where Mikyx can start roaming everywhere on the map, and it's really hard for Fnatic to follow and actually fight them.
This is where we expect to see Misfits move that bottom support up towards the top lane, get the second tower. They're happy to scale as well in this game. We have to remember, we talk about how Fnatic want to scale up, but you've got a Tristana on your side.
Yeah.
You can scale pretty well.
Also, the last few games when they've taken bot lane, so they've stayed in that lane and then gone for the tier 2 tower and had that threat of Mikyx roaming from bot to mid, which made it even harder for Caps to play the game. And it protects Sencux very well. So I actually like that strategy when they've done it. And let's see if they do the same thing here, because they can just push in for tier 2, but they need to fight for Rift Island. And because Maxlore didn't get it, they probably have to go top now.
So the big issue issue there for Maxlore was he recognized bot lane was missing for Fnatic, namely Hylissang, and he had roamed up towards mid lane, joined Caps, and because there was a numbers advantage, especially with Soaz just getting the push, he knew that if he committed, he would have been collapsed upon. But Hylissang now continuing to look for roams, moving up towards the top side, as we see the rest of Misfits gearing up to secure themselves the Rift Tower.
It's going to clear out the vision around this. We'll start it up. Hansama there for it. Has the Zerk Greaves and the Storm Raider. Rod of Ages just finished on Sencux as well. 14 minutes in. Misfits about 2,000 gold ahead and very happy just to keep the game going at about this pace. Fnatic, though, trying to do something if they can. Hex Flash in. Mikyx gets onto Hylissang, knocks him back into the midst of the team. Soaz coming down from the top side as well, but Hylissang just about alive. Look at the fight down towards the bottom side. Rekkles caught out. Hylissang goes down. Rekkles will fall as well. Caps, you can't do anything. He does no damage at all. And Misfits win the fight.
Big fight win for Misfits. 4-0 is the current scoreline. They have the right set on the mid-tier 1, and they don't even need the Rift Tower to secure it.
Misfits going to get this mid-tier 1 tower. 2 towers to nil, 3,000 gold ahead. Fnatic wanted to scale, but Misfits have come out of the gate swinging.
Before we go into the replay, quickly look at the items. Bilgewater Cutlass on top of Caps, and only a Storm Razor for Rekkles, and then they go into this fight, Deficio.
Exactly, and Mikyx gets the initial engage onto Hylissang, so that's a ton of damage on the support. And if you look at 2 carries, they both got knocked off by Alphari, and right after they can't deal any damage to the front line of Misfits, and they will just drop. Great knock-up from the Sion. But once again, we keep talking about how Misfits, they have the superior early game here. It's not even Misfits forcing every play.
It's true.
It's literally Fnatic walking into them saying, oh yeah, let's fight. That's what we want to do. And they just can't do anything.
It feels like they're underestimating Misfits at times. And what we have learned from history is you never underestimate Misfits. Spring last year, they reverse swept Splice. They beat Fnatic in Summer Semi Finals 3-1 to face up against G2. They took SKT to 5 games at Worlds. Misfits, when they get to best of 5s, are an entirely different beast.
What it feels like to me right now is that Fnatic have spent the entire summer split playing one way, which was focused on actually fighting in the early game.
Yeah.
They didn't have Rekkles for most of it. They didn't have to rely on late game. So that was the style they kept going for. But now with Rekkles, they're drafting more for late game, and they're not changing the mindset of how to play the game.
But we heard from Till and Valko, this was their best week of scrims. This was something they came into the week feeling extremely confident, but we then did hear from Youngbuck that he said that we haven't played against this team at all recently. They have a unique style, and Rekkles now being forced on the back foot once again.
Yeah, you can see the tweet from Youngbuck. We may have had our best scrim week of the entire season, but there's always an uneasy feeling when you're playing against a team you haven't practiced against, and here comes the fight in the bottom lane. Hero's entrance used, Soaz tanking up the tower, Caps in the midst of it all as well, double taunt. Alphari and Sencux are just too tanky. One will go down, Alphari's still alive, Caps tanking up the tower now. Broxah needs to reset that aggro. Alphari looking for the decimating smash, lands it, flashes away. Caps won't be able to get the kill because Alphari will run away for the moment.
But this is what Fnatic need. They need kills onto Caps right here. It took some time before they actually shut down Sencux, but they also get the bot lane turret now. Yes, they lose top, but you're already behind, and you need gold on your carry in the mid. That's why you grab this Vayne, so that he can be a huge carry.
And I think that because Caps wasn't focused in that fight and he was just free to dish the damage, you could see how the damage from his True Bolts combined with the Blade of the Ruin King over a period of time quickly shreds through those tanks. So if you're stacking a lot of HP, you can see how Caps, he's just not touched in this. Soaz is tanking the majority of the damage. Broxah avoiding some of the front line. Really good pillar there from Broxah as well to get interrupting on the E from Sencux, but he then just melts from the side of Caps. Soaz tanks the entire tower during that duration, and then Alphari with a good flash here enables him to get out with the ult.
Good stuff all round from Fnatic. You can see how long it does take to take down those tanks. Alphari even surviving at the end. Hansama's now gone Static Shiv, second item on the Tristana.
Talking about items, people will see the stopwatch for Sencux and ask why didn't he use it? Well, he didn't actually have it in the last fight. He bought it after. If he had it right there, it could have been huge for him, but not the case, and Fnatic knew that to actually shut him down. Misfits still in the lead. Fnatic have opted into a lot of fights. It's backfired so far, but that doesn't mean the game is over for them. We keep mentioning it, but if they can get kills onto Caps and keep going late into the game, it is in their favor. But Misfits have all the tools to start playing around Baron soon, and and they have to engage to force team fights.
The thing is, let's think about these late game team fights, because one of the big things we talked about for Fnatic in the last 2 games was they have Tristana, they have the late game. Now it's in the hands of Hansama, who's 2-0-0. 18.5 minutes into the game, he's on 2 items. This guy is in a perfect position to also carry these late game fights. And let's not forget, last year in the late game fights, it was Misfits. Even earlier this year, it was always Misfits winning out on them. So even though Fnatic do have the potential late game team fight aspect, we cannot ignore the fact that Hansama is that ultimate threat for Misfits.
He is definitely a huge carry on the side. Sadly, he's going to be dealing with double AD carry on the other one. So
it's true.
You might have a big cannon right there to shoot the tanks down, but on the other side, you have Caps and Rekkles. And poor Alphari will probably die pretty quickly once we get full late game. But we're definitely not there yet. There's still plenty of time for Misfits to continue snowballing this game.
Yep.
They just cannot afford to give kills over to Caps.
Here comes the engage.
Glacial Fisher used. Rekkles pops the underhunt. Teleport coming in behind them as well. They've engaged onto Caps. There's a hero's entrance. Caps tries to flash away. Goes invis as well. Will survive for the moment. Up towards the top side of the fight. Hylissang's being caught out. It's Hansama dishing out the DPS. Caps steps forward. And Mikyx might look for the flank here.
Doesn't
We'll have
his
Hex
ulti.
flash up soon. No ultimate, as you say. Rift Herald used. It's going to be a big 5v5 brawl in the top lane as Rift Herald will come in.
Keep your eyes on the ultimates that were used. Many are unavailable for both sides, but Hansama, he still has it. He's caught.
Hansama had to jump away. Rift Herald goes down as well. Misfits can't push any further. Hylissang looking for the glacial knock
Look at
up.
Mikyx though.
Mikyx
wants to go in.
He goes. He'll use. Oh, condemned from Caps. Puts the cow in his place and knocks back Misfits. And now Fnatic can step forward if they want. Chasing from Broxah onto Hansama. Flash is still available. Will use it to get away. Mikyx goes to the re-engage. Hansama will try and get the damage in across the wall, but the cow is down, and now Fnatic continue to turn onto Misfits. Hansama can put a lot of damage down in this fight if he can just get the time to use those rockets.
But it's Fnatic winning the fight at first here. A long fight around the turret. Maxlore.
Gonna take a lot of damage. Concussive blows coming out. Sencux lands the 2-man taunt, but Caps is still there. Justice punch. Caps surviving through it all. Rekkles tanks up the tower for his teammate. Soaz coming in from the bottom side as well. Decimating Smash will lock him up. He just needed one more tower shot. Hansama jumps forward. That's enough. Hansama has the reset. Hansama, you can tell he can taste it. You can tell he wants to go for it. Alphari coming in behind them all now. Here is Sencux. Alphari posts an unstoppable onshore slut shut down onto Caps. The second kill comes out as well. And after a prolonged fight in the top lane, Misfits come out on top.
What a ridiculously long fight that Misfits end up coming out on top of. 3 members are dead for Fnatic, and now the Baron is alive. Maxlore's about to respawn, they're kicking it off.
Here we go. Misfits, 21 minutes in. We saw them do this in the last lane. They're going for it once again. They do not have the Kalista or the Cho'Gath this time. They don't have the secure potential. Hylissang's trying to spot him out.
It's just Hylissang right now. Broxah is running from base. Soaz will join him now, but this Baron, it's going down. Can Broxah get it in time? Flash is available. People are getting fight alone there, but Alphari can tank it for now.
Here we go. Glacial Fisher used. Broxah has the flash. Spotted out on the ward. 3,000 HP on the Baron. Misfits want to secure it. Fnatic looking for the flash in. Looking for Broxah to make the big play. Hylissang jumps across. The Baron goes down and Misfits get it. Hylissang will probably sacrifice his own life for it, but that is well more than worth.
Beautiful play from Mikyx, giving his life for the team. Baron ends up being secured for Misfits. This is where the fight all starts off.
Man.
Remember that all the ultis were pretty much unavailable because a little skirmish had happened before this. Caps with a really good condemn denies the re-engage from Mikyx, and this is where they have to start retreating because Hansama gets caught out. He doesn't have the rocket jump. He's forced to flash. Mikyx says, oh, I can get on top of Caps. We can win. Oh, no. He ends up dying extremely quickly. 5v4, Fnatic go on the chase.
Yeah, still a lot of HP and Maxlore and Sencux here to continue the fighting. Fnatic are calling for tower dive. After already dropping low from the first engage, they still think they can get more. And while they get the kill onto Maxlore, they're still fighting under this turret this entire time. We're only 20 minutes into the game. It's kind of crazy. And with Soaz here, he actually dies. He almost gets knocked in with the bomb into the rest of his team.
Yeah, so close.
But just on the side here, and now it's a good TP coming in. And the ulti from Alphari is ready. And that's a bunch of kills. Fnatic win the first fight, aim for a tower dive, then lose and give up the Baron.
And they could have pressured the Baron themselves.
Yep.
Remember that many members of Misfits were forced low. Hansama would have had to go back to base. Mikyx was dead, but instead Fnatic chose to go for the dive, and that ends up biting them. And now Misfits sieging onto this tier 2.
Misfits, they keep showing us they can definitely match anything Fnatic throw them here in the mid game. They're ready to take these fights. And Sama's picked up the kills, and Mikyx on this Alistar is always threatening on the side.
Just so amazed by the transformation from Misfits. 2-7 in the second half of the split. They 3-0'd our former finalist G2, and now they're looking to take down our reigning champions Fnatic. Alphari goes gold, and Fnatic pushing forward with the fight, but they just can't find it at the moment.
Did not get him into the Trundle pillar right there. He ended up stepping just to the side. This mid lane turret is very low. Maxlore is pushing up a massive wave top lane. Someone needs to go answer him if he stays.
Waiting for the Unbreakable to go from Hylissang. There's the tower. Maxlore has been answered by Caps. Engaged from Mickey, but it's onto the Cho'Gath. Caps puts some damage down onto Maxlore, up towards the top side of the fight. You can see.
Ultimate used from Caps as well.
Final hour has been pulled by Caps. Maybe thought he could take down Maxlore, but unable to do it for the moment. Fnatic still defending. They still have that scaling if they can hold on to their inhibitors.
No interest in the Drake right now. It's been up for a pretty long time. It is that Cloud, and Misfits, they just want to continue to siege. They still have at least a minute left on the Baron, but it's going to be hard as Fnatic look to try and go for a re-engage.
Rupture doesn't land.
Rage Blade is ready for Caps, by the way. It's a huge thing.
Has the Blade of the Ruin King as well, looking for those extra shots. Get so many more of those silver bolts out on the Vayne if you get that Rage Blade stacked up.
And last game when Misfits got that early Baron, they took 2 inhibs with it, and it was like game over. Fnatic could not defend it. This time, with the Baron, the base is still alive. Fnatic did not lose any inhib turrets. And now they can keep stalling. Sivir, while she can't properly fight right now, she can still kill the minions.
Misfits also lost a huge minion wave that was building up towards the bot side, and look at how much damage Fnatic got onto this tier 2 tower. Misfits now trying to regain control over their side waves, but very little gained off the back of this Baron.
Okay, while they've backed away, let's have a look at exactly where they are in terms of items. Zhonya, Rod of Ages finished on towards Sencux. You've almost got 3 items on Han Summer as well. Misfits a 5,000 gold lead at the moment. They need to translate that into these inhibitors.
Well, for Misfits, while you do want to look for another fight now, getting to Caps is a bit difficult with the mobility and cleanse, but Rekkles is still an easy target for you.
But I do think that Rekkles on the Sivir provides you with the 500 CS win condition.
Yep.
He has so much wave clear on this champion that sieging for Misfits is going to be extremely difficult. I think they either have to do one of 2 things. Number 1, wait for the next Baron to spawn, or 2, they take a gamble. They go for a dive. They try and get a one-shot onto Rekkles or to Caps and then turn it into a teamfight win. And I feel that the safer option will just be to wait for the next Baron to spawn and then maybe look to force another fight. But then Caps on his 2 items, maybe that's the situation that Fnatic have to come back into the game.
Oh, let's see if they can fight them here, maybe.
Mickey looking for the engage, only going to land onto Soaz. He flashes away from the Decimated Smash, but it's always used as well, and the Ragnarok by Maxlore.
And I just love the Misfits. Whenever they do see Fnatic kind of stand too far forward, they just go for them instantly.
Yep.
Like, get that flash from Soaz. It's gone now for the next fight. You can actually focus down the tank if you don't want to try and go for the back line. Fnatic, again, trying to just stall for as long as possible, but they put themselves in a tough, tough spot, seeing as they kept fighting much earlier on in the game for no reason. Now, though, if you are Misfits, you are still having that conversation we just had. Okay, guys, like, do we feel like we need to force something right now? Or can we just wait for Baron? We'll get full vision control. We have 3 items on Hansama. We know we can just start it. And that's kind of the decision for them. 2 minutes until Baron spawns.
There's that Infinity Edge for Han Summer. We have officially reached scary Tristana mode. And Fnatic at a 6,000 gold deficit. Again, these fights are going to be really important as to how quickly they can melt through that front line of Misfits.
Yeah, and I don't think Rekkles will get his IH before the next fight. He's only sitting on like 700 gold.
And as much as Rekkles is comfortable on the Sivir, when we saw him play it in the past, they'd funnel more gold into him than this. When he played it against G2, he was sitting at 440 CS, only 7 minutes away from this point, only at the 34-minute mark. Here, he's behind Han Summer. He's not getting those big items that allow you to get to that scary Sivir stage.
Well, now Misfits gaining control over the top side of Fnatic's jungle. Han Summer continuing to pick up farm, and Broxah just doing what he can to not concede everything over towards Misfits. Baron in about a minute's time. That mid-tier one's still up in favor of Misfits.
And it's just a tense moment for both teams, because if Misfits lose the next team fight, Fnatic are in the late game, and it gets really difficult. But if Fnatic lose that fight, it's gonna be suddenly a bunch of inhibs dropping, and you probably can't defend for long enough to get your items, and then Misfits will take this game. And it's so important with the next big 5-on-5. It's gonna be around the Baron the way it's looking right now. 40 seconds until it's alive, but look at Misfits on the map. They have actually split up in all 3 lanes, and Fnatic are just trying to push down mid.
Misfits have total vision control around the Baron and in the river as well.
They're actually hiding top. Okay, now they show. They were just sitting there and hoping someone like Caps would show up to kill the wave. But now Fnatic are a bit out of position. This top lane turret will take some damage.
Well, Rekkles popped the ultimate to try and get them back. There's the teleport as well from Alphari.
they're going all
Misfits are investing towards this top lane inhibitor. They get the tower. Rekkles is there. Broxah, Hylissang, and Soaz joining them now. Caps on his way. Misfits, 4-man strong, pushing for the inhib. Broxah's the one to step forward. Alphari will tank it up for the moment. Here comes Caps. Getting on to Alphari. With the 3-man knock-up. Hero's entrance comes in. Another 3-man. Caps! Caps! Killed Hansama! And that is exactly what you want from your main man in a fight like this. Caps comes up huge! What an amazing performance from Fnatic! And Misfits went for the ballsy play. They went for the inhib. But Fnatic do not give an inch.
That is 4 members dead for Misfits. The Baron is alive. Fnatic are back in this game.
But what an insane individual play. Everything looked great for Misfits to get the turret down. They're fighting without Fnatic's carries on 3 items, and they almost kill Caps instantly. Hansama thinks he's gonna get him. He jumps in, and then he gets condemned into the wall. That just won the entire game for Fnatic.
This replay is brought to you by Acer Predator and by Caps.
Keep your eyes on Caps in this fight. You can see that Misfits all hard engage onto him. Misfits with the perfect knockup into the follow-up damage. And here, Hansama flashes onto him. Caps is invisible. He can't get that last auto attack. And then a beautiful condemn into the wall gives Caps the opportunity to get the turnaround.
Yeah, Hansama thought that Caps had actually tried to tumble away from him. That's why he jumps. Otherwise, he can just run to him and auto attack him. And it gets easier to actually kill him. But with the jump, Caps had time to smack him into the wall. Fnatic are almost even in gold now.
I feel like the Hansama didn't even need to go for the kill. With Caps forced out of the fight, you just turn it into a 5v4 on the other side and win through that. But he ends up dropping. Fnatic come up with a huge fight. Now they're pushing onto Misfits.
Engaged from Alphari, you can see Ragnarok coming in as well.
They're going on the Caps.
They're just trying to get on Caps, but look at the damage already! Maxlore forced out of it, Rekkles takes him down.
It's over.
It's done. It's dusted. All they need is one fight, and Fnatic just demolish Misfits.
It's Fnatic in the spring split finals all over again. They can lose the early game, they can lose the mid game, but they need one good team fight in the late game. And suddenly they have the items they need, and they will just destroy you.
They have their eyes set on the nexus of Misfits.
They got it.
1-1 is the scoreline.
They're just gonna push.
The death timers are too long. Misfits will have this game lost.
Mickey jumps in, tries to get a knock-up. Hansama trying to do what he can, but he is done for. You cannot relent for a second. You cannot give an inch. You cannot blink against Fnatic, because they will destroy you.
And we just said it before that fight. The next big team fight decides everything. If Misfits win it, they go for the Nexus. They win the game right there. But the moment we get the play from Caps, Fnatic will get everything they want. And for anyone who's now ready to jump on the flame wagon here and say, Hansama, why would you do that? That's instinct as a carry. You see a Vayne that's low on the side, you jump for her. You want to kill her instantly. No one expected that play.
Insane from Caps. Insane for Fnatic to hold out for that game, to find the one team fight, the one situation that would bring it back for them. And on the other hand, if you're Misfits, you're looking at that and saying, we had that game locked down.
You had that game, and you're looking at Hansama and you're saying, you do that again. It's actually the correct play. You can kill the carry right there. You can win the whole thing for your team. But that's so tough now, because you just lost a game where you had everything you needed to win. You even took that fight, which was a great setup, before we had Caps and Rekkles on 3 items. It was, everything around there was actually correct by Misfits. But then you have the all-pro mid laner, the best player in Europe, and he makes a play like that, and you lose anyway.
You can see the grin on his face. Caps making a monumental outplay in the clutch moment to secure Fnatic the win. They now sit at match point and are on track to secure themselves a spot in the finals in Madrid.
On track to defend their championship in Madrid as well against Schalke. It's going to be a big match for them if they can get there. Misfits still stand in their way, though. They are still challenging.
And let's not ignore everything that happened in the first 25 minutes. Here's Ender.
Hey, it's your son.
There you go, guys. A little behind the scenes. We need that sometimes. But 25 minutes, we were saying, Fnatic, what are you doing? Why do you keep forcing these fights? You want to scale. The Vayne is useless in the early game, but you keep doing it. Misfits got all the wins they needed in the early fights until that last moment here. And again, I feel bad for Insama, because people are going to look at him and say, why would you do it? But I still think it was the correct move.
Very, very frustrating for Misfits and Hansama. And, you know, we talked so much about that Baron was the team fight, like everything was in prime position. And, you know, if he didn't trust the instincts, if he just turned his attention, maybe the fight could have gone differently. But you can't take away anything from Caps and how well he played that final fight. Misfits then tried to go for one last-ditch attempt while the gold was still even between the two teams. And their focus went fully onto Caps. And he said, no, 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 not this time. And he just melted through the fight.
And the thing about that as well is if you put all of your focus on the Vayne, you've got Rekkles on Sivir sitting at 3 items with an Infinity Edge completed, just saying, okay, I'll take the free auto attacks on your backline.
That was the late game problem when you're dealing with double AD carry. Even if you can actually try and win with your own scaling, there's just more when you have 2 AD carries on the other side.
So if you're Misfits now and you're coming into the next game, do you actually need to change anything? Because it doesn't feel like that was a bad draft, a bad team, a bad set of plays for them. They just need to play it slightly better.
I think they hard won the draft here, in my opinion. I didn't feel like Fnatic could play around any of their carries for 30 minutes.
I agree.
Cool. I'm used to you two disagreeing. We had the whole Maxlore thing, so...
No, I think that Misfits so far in this series are playing very well. I know many expect, I believe Cole said on the analyst desk, it would be difficult to argue against voting for Fnatic. And I feel like that so far in this series, we've showed that Misfits have brought a lot, and they really are challenging the top dogs in Fnatic. And I'm really excited to see how the rest of the series plays out, because I'm expecting 5 games. I'm expecting this to go all the way. I feel like that we're in for another nail-biter next game, and it's going to be very exciting to see how.
Yeah, because you can last play that last team fight. You can replay that last team fight we just saw here, and then it goes slightly different, and Caps dies instead, and then Misfits win, and we go like, wow, Misfits, fantastic, Fnatic, what are you doing? But now you have that situation where they win that fight, they get their late game, and then they just end the game.
It's a game of inches at the moment. Caps and Fnatic are 2-1 up against... Oh, whoa. Caps and Fnatic are 2-1 up against Misfits. And after the break, we'll check with the Danish mid laner's performance this year as he and his team prepare for match point. Don't go anywhere.